A black woman rescues a stray dog and has no idea it belongs to the most private billionaire. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from today. The rain was falling very hard on the windows of Callie Rivers's small apartment. Callie lived in the old part of town and she was used to all the sounds, kids playing late outside, neighbors yelling sometimes, and the kitchen faucet dripping because she couldn't afford to fix it. Callie was 34 years old and worked 2 jobs. That night, she had worked a long shift at the diner and then 3 more hours at the convenience store. She was very tired. All she wanted to do was sit on her old couch with a warm cup of tea. "Another day done," Callie said, kicking off her shoes and rubbing her sore feet. Callie's apartment wasn't fancy. The paint on the walls was peeling, and her couch came from a yard sale. Her dishes didn't match, but it was her home. She made curtains by hand and put little green plants on the windows. Even though she didn't have much, she still made her home pretty. Suddenly, Callie heard a soft crying sound coming from the alley outside her window. She pulled her sweater tighter and looked out into the dark, rainy night. She heard the sound again. It was sad and lonely. Without waiting, Callie grabbed her umbrella and ran down the stairs. The rain soaked her jeans, but she kept going. She followed the sound to a pile of cardboard boxes behind the dumpster. Then she saw him, a medium-sized dog with golden fur. He was wet, shaking and holding up his front paw like it hurt. His big brown eyes looked scared and hopeful. "Hey there," Callie said softly, kneeling down. "It's okay, I won't hurt you." The dog backed away, limping. Callie didn't move too quickly. "You're hurt and you're all wet," she said kindly. "I have a warm place upstairs, food, and a dry towel." The dog looked at her, unsure. Callie stayed still, her hand out. Finally, the dog slowly came closer and sniffed her hand. "That's it," Callie said gently. "Good boy." She took off her cardigan and wrapped it around him. He was heavier than she thought as she carried him up the stairs. Back in her apartment, she laid him on a folded blanket in the bathroom and gently dried him with a towel. Under all the dirt, his fur was beautiful, soft and golden. Callie saw scars on his side and a sore on his paw. "Someone loved you once," she whispered. "You're too sweet not to have known love." She gave him water and leftover chicken from her dinner. Then she made him a cozy bed on the couch. "You can stay here tonight," she said, patting his head. "Tomorrow, we'll figure out what to do." But one night turned into 3 nights. Then 3 turned into a week. Callie named him Milo, after a dog her grandfather used to have. Each day, Milo's paw got a little better. Each night, he slept closer to Callie's bed. "You know, Milo," Callie said while making dinner one night, "I didn't plan on having a roommate, but you're pretty good. You don't snore. You don't leave dishes in the sink." Milo wagged his tail, watching her with loving eyes. On her day off, Callie counted the money she had saved from her tips. She made a decision. "Come on, boy, we need to get your paw checked." They went to the local animal clinic. It was very busy, but Dr. Isla made time for them. "No collar or tag," said Dr. Isla, "but he might have a microchip. Want me to check?" Callie's heart hurt. Of course she should check. If Milo had an owner, they might be missing him. But Callie didn't want to give him up. He had become her friend, her comfort, her family. "Yes," she finally said. "Please check." Dr. Isla scanned Milo's neck. Nothing is showing up. Maybe the chip is broken, or he doesn't have one." Callie felt relief, but also guilt. She didn't want to take someone's dog. "His leg is just sprained, not broken," Dr. Isla said. "He's healing well. You've taken great care of him." Callie paid the $87 bill, even though she had been saving for winter boots. On the way home, she bought Milo a proper collar and leash with her last bit of money. But Callie didn't know that, 20 miles away, in a tall building in the city, a computer pinged. A message was sent to a private server. A man named Griffin Langston saw it on his phone. His hand shook. Milo had been found. Griffin was 40 years old and very rich. He owned a big company called Langston Real Estate, but he didn't care much about money. After his parents died in a boat accident, he became very private and lonely. Milo had been his only real friend for the past 7 years. Griffin adopted him after the funeral. Milo saw the real Griffin, the man who liked reading by the fire, walking on the beach, and skipping fancy parties. When Milo went missing, Griffin was heartbroken. He had searched everywhere but didn't tell the news. He didn't want attention. Now, the scan showed Milo had been at a little animal clinic in the old part of town. Griffin called his head of security. "Get me the address," Griffin said, "and I'll go alone." "Sir, I don't think that's safe," Dax replied. "This isn't business. It's personal." An hour later, Griffin parked in front of a small apartment building. He wore jeans and a plain shirt, trying not to look rich. The records said someone named Elman Rivers lived in apartment 3B. He walked up the stairs with a heavy heart. What if someone wanted money to give Milo back? What if they were mean to him? He knocked on the door. Just a dog barked excitedly from inside. It was Milo's bark. The door opened and a woman with kind brown eyes and dark hair looked out. She seemed surprised and a little tired. "Can I help you?" she asked. Before Griffin could speak, Milo ran past her and jumped into his arms, wagging his tail and whining with joy. Griffin knelt down and hugged Milo, tears filling his eyes. When Griffin looked up, he saw the woman watching with a sad smile. "I knew he had someone," she said softly. "I just didn't think I'd miss him this much." Griffin didn't expect her to say that. She wasn't angry or asking for money. "His name is Milo," she said. "At least that's what I called him. I found him 3 weeks ago in the rain behind this building. He was limping and scared." Griffin looked around. Her apartment was small but cozy. A blanket was folded on the couch for Milo. Dog food and a bowl sat neatly in the corner. She had taken such good care of him. "May I come in?" Griffin asked. She nodded. "Of course. Would you like some tea?" They sat at her little kitchen table. Milo sat between them, not sure who to stay with. "I'm Callie Rivers," she said, handing him a mug of tea. "I'm Griffin," he said, not adding his last name. "Thank you for helping him." "He's special," Callie replied. "The night I found him, it was raining hard. He was hiding behind the dumpster. I couldn't leave him there." As Callie told him about taking care of Milo, Griffin was touched. She spent her last money on him and talked about his funny habits like growling at vacuum cleaners. "He sleeps next to my bed now," she said. "Sometimes when I've had a hard day, he puts his head on my lap like he understands." Griffin felt something warm in his chest. This woman didn't just keep Milo alive. She gave him love and a real home. "How did you lose him?" Callie asked kindly. "I left the gate open by mistake," Griffin said. "I've been searching ever since. You must have been so worried." "I was," he said. "He's helped me through hard times." They both went quiet, knowing what would happen next. Griffin would take Milo home. Callie would be alone again. "I should get his things," she said, standing up. She brought his collar, leash, chew toy, and blanket. Her hands shook as she put them on the table. "He likes to be wrapped in this blanket when it thunders," she said softly, "and he prefers warm food." Griffin listened closely. No one had cared for Milo this much in a long time. "Keep the blanket," he said suddenly, "and the toy." Callie looked confused. "Because I'd like to bring him back to visit. If that's okay." Her eyes widened. "Visit?" "Yes. You saved him. You cared for him. That means something to me." He paused, then added, "Maybe I could come by tomorrow night, bring dinner to say thank you?" Callie smiled, and it lit up her whole face. "I'd like that," she said. As Griffin stood, Milo looked from Callie to Griffin, wagging his tail. For the first time in many years, Griffin felt something he hadn't in a long time. Hope. "Until tomorrow, then," he said, taking Milo's leash. Callie knelt to hug Milo one last time. "Be good," she whispered, "and come back soon." As the door closed, Griffin looked down at Milo, who looked up at him with wise eyes. "I think we both found something we didn't know we were looking for," he said. "For you?" he said softly. Just like he promised, Griffin came back the next evening. Callie had just finished her work at the diner and barely had time to change out of her uniform when she heard a knock at the door. When she opened it, there was Griffin with Milo the dog and two big bags of food from Giovanni's. It was a fancy Italian restaurant downtown. Callie had walked past it before, but she had never been inside. "You came back," Callie said, surprised. "I promised I would," Griffin said simply. Milo ran past them and went straight to his blanket, still folded on the couch like he had never left. He turned around 3 times and then lay down with a happy sigh. "He missed you," Griffin said as he put the food on her small kitchen table. "He kept looking at the door all day." Callie smiled and knelt down to pet Milo behind the ears. "I missed him too." As they opened the containers with pasta, garlic bread, and salad, Callie felt a little nervous. During the day, she had started thinking more about Griffin. He seemed like he had a lot of money. His watch probably cost more than her monthly rent. But he didn't act like a rich person. He wore simple jeans and a sweater that anyone could wear. Trying to talk more, Callie asked, "So, what do you do for work, Griffin?" He paused before answering. "Real estate. Mostly family business." "That must be interesting," she said. "Not really," he said with a small smile. "What about you?" "I work at Maggie's Diner 5 days a week and a quick stop on weekends," she said, twirling pasta with her fork. "It's not fancy, but it helps me pay most of my bills." Griffin looked around her little apartment. He saw the different chairs and decorations that didn't match but made the place feel like home. He saw the hand-sewn curtains, the green plants she took care of, and books stacked everywhere. "You've made this place your own," he said. Callie felt her face get warm. "It's not much." "No," Griffin said gently. "I mean it as a good thing. Most people just live in a place. You've created something special." There was a look in his eyes, a kind of sadness and longing that surprised Callie. Griffin, who had so much more than she ever would, looked like he actually wished he had what she had. "What about your place?" she asked. Griffin's face changed a little. "It's bigger than I need." "Do you live alone? Besides Milo, I mean?" "Yes," he said. "Just us." "What about you? Have you always lived here alone?" Callie nodded. "Since my divorce 5 years ago. Tom, my ex-husband, wanted bigger things, a bigger house, a bigger job, a bigger life. I was happy with what we had." "His loss," Griffin said softly, looking into her eyes. After that, talking felt easier. They shared their love for books, especially mystery stories and movies. Griffin talked about Europe like he had been there many times. Callie talked about her one big trip to the Grand Canyon after high school. When dinner was done, Milo got off the couch and lay between their feet under the table. His tail thumped every time one of them looked at him. "He's playing matchmaker," Callie joked, then felt shy for saying it. Was she hinting at something romantic? But Griffin just smiled. Smart dog. Before leaving, Griffin noticed that her kitchen faucet was leaking. Without being asked, he rolled up his sleeves and fixed it using tools from under her sink. "My grandpa was a plumber," he said when he saw her surprised face. "He taught me a few things before he passed away." As he put on his jacket and picked up Milo's leash, Callie walked them to the door. "Thank you for dinner and for fixing the faucet." "Thank you for the company," Griffin said. Then he added, "Can we come again? Maybe Saturday? We could take Milo to the park." Callie felt a little flutter in her chest. "I'd like that." After they left, Callie sat on the couch, hugging Milo's blanket. There was something special about Griffin. He was kind, quiet, and looked at her like she was someone important, someone others had missed. Saturday came with perfect fall weather, cool air, and golden sunlight shining through the trees. Griffin picked Callie up in his car. It was a nice car, but not super fancy. Milo sat in the back seat, his head out the window, ears flapping in the wind. At the park, they walked side by side while Milo sniffed bushes and trees. Griffin bought them hot chocolate from a little cart, and they sat on a bench watching children play. "Did you ever want kids?" Griffin asked, looking at a little girl being pushed on a swing by her dad. Once, Callie said. Tom and I tried, but it didn't happen. After the divorce, I figured it just wasn't meant to be. She sipped her hot chocolate. What about you? I never thought I'd be good at it, Griffin said quietly. My dad was always busy with work and didn't talk to me much. I'm scared I'd be the same. I don't think so, Callie said before she could stop herself. You're patient and kind with Milo. Those are good things for a dad to be. Griffin looked at her with soft eyes. You always see the good in people, don't you? I try to, she said. It makes the world feel nicer. As they walked more, Callie told him stories from her childhood. She also told him about her dream of opening a poetry cafe one day. She said she took night classes at the community college to learn about literature. Poetry cafe? Griffin asked, curious. Callie laughed. It's a silly dream. I imagined a little place with cozy chairs and art on the walls. People could read poems or just listen and drink coffee. That's not silly at all, Griffin said. Why haven't you done it? Money, she said. Dreams cost more than I make at the diner. Days turned into weeks, and Griffin became a part of Callie's life. He brought Milo over often with small reasons. Dinner, a book, or a movie. They made a little routine. Walks in the park on Saturdays, takeout and movies on Wednesdays. Griffin fixed things in her apartment. The cabinet, the window, the squeaky stair. He never made her feel like he was helping her out. He just saw what needed fixing and did it. What surprised Callie most was how Griffin started to relax. He smiled more, laughed more, and shared more. One Wednesday night, after watching an old black and white movie, they sat on the couch. Milo lay across their laps. Do you ever wish you were someone else? Callie asked. Griffin was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Only when I'm not with you. Callie's heart skipped a beat. What does that mean? It means, he said, turning to her, that with you, I can just be me. Not what people expect, just Griffin. Without thinking too much, Callie leaned forward and kissed him. It was gentle, soft, like asking a question. Griffin answered by holding her closer. His hand touched her cheek gently. When they pulled apart, Milo was looking up at them with what looked like a doggy smile. Your matchmaking worked, buddy, Griffin told him, scratching his chin. As October became November, their relationship grew. Griffin stayed later, sometimes falling asleep on the couch with Milo by his feet. Callie looked forward to his visits more and more. She was falling for him. He was kind and gentle, and there was something sad in his eyes, like he had been hurt before. He didn't talk much about his work or past. One cold Saturday, Griffin said they should take Milo to a different park across town. It had a pond with ducks. As they walked, Callie noticed people looking at them. At first, she thought it was because of Milo's orange sweater she had knitted, but then she saw that they were looking at Griffin. A woman with a stroller stopped, her eyes wide. She took out her phone, snapped a photo, and walked away quickly. Do you know her? Callie asked. No, Griffin said, looking serious. Let's go this way. He led her down a quieter path, but people still looked at them. Two men nodded respectfully. A teenager pointed and whispered, Griffin, what's going on? Callie asked, Why is everyone looking at you like that? Before Griffin could answer, a man in a suit came up to them. Mr. Langston, I didn't expect to see you here. I've been trying to reach you about the Riverside project. Not now, Peterson, Griffin said. I'm not working today. The man looked embarrassed. Sorry, sir, I didn't mean to interrupt. Callie stood still. Langston? She said. As in Langston Development? The company that owns half the city? Griffin looked sad. Callie, I can explain. You're Griffin Langston, a billionaire? She thought about his expensive watch, how he never talked about his job, how she had never been to his house. Why didn't you tell me? Because this is what I was afraid of, Griffin said. Once people know my name, everything changes. They don't see me. They see money, the company, the news stories. And what did you think would happen when I found out? Callie asked, feeling hurt. I wanted to tell you, Griffin said. I just liked being just Griffin with you, not Griffin Langston, the CEO. Just me. Callie's eyes filled with tears. So you've been pretending? Dating the diner waitress to see what it's like? That's not true, Griffin said, trying to hold her hand. She pulled away. What we have is real. More real than anything in my life. People nearby had stopped and were watching with their phones out. Callie felt embarrassed. I need to go home, she said, her voice shaking. Callie, please. I need time to think, she said. Just give me space. Callie turned around and walked quickly to the park gate. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Behind her, she heard Milo, the dog, making a sad sound. She could feel Griffin watching her leave. Her heart felt like it was breaking, but she didn't stop walking. When she reached her small apartment, her phone was buzzing with lots of messages. Her friends and people from work were all texting her. A photo of her and Griffin had gone everywhere on the internet. People were calling her Langston's secret girlfriend. People she didn't even know were talking about her life and her relationship. Callie sat down on her couch and hugged Milo's blanket. She couldn't stop crying now. She didn't care that Griffin was rich. That wasn't the reason she was sad. She cried because Griffin didn't tell her the truth. He didn't trust her. Now, she didn't know what to believe. Did he really care for her? Or was she just something new and interesting for him? A simple girl who didn't know his name or how rich he was? That night, someone knocked on her door. Callie didn't answer. She didn't want to see him. She wasn't ready to say that even though she was hurt, she still missed him. She missed both Griffin and Milo. Somehow they had become her little family when she wasn't even trying. On her table, her phone lit up again. It was a message from a number she didn't know. There was a photo. It showed Milo lying down by a big fireplace. It must be Griffin's house. Milo looked sad and lost. The message said, "He misses you. So do I. Please let me explain." Callie stared at the message for a long time. Her finger stayed just above the reply button. Everything was different now. She didn't know if they could be happy again, but her heart told her one thing for sure. She wanted to try. 3 days passed. Callie didn't reply to Griffin. She went to work, came back home, and tried to ignore how quiet and lonely her apartment felt without Milo's little pants and Griffin's soft laugh. Each time she picked up her phone, doubt stopped her. She thought, what kind of future can we have? I'm just a waitress with 2 jobs and lots of student debt. Griffin is one of the richest men in the city. On the 4th day, Callie was finishing her work at Maggie's diner. Her coworker Penny came over and slid a newspaper on the counter. You might want to see this, Penny said. She pointed at a picture. Callie looked. It was Griffin wearing a fancy suit, standing next to a beautiful blonde woman at a big event. The caption under the photo said, Griffin Langston and socialite Victoria Pierce at the Children's Hospital Gala. Callie's stomach felt sick. When was this taken? She asked. Last night, Penny answered. She looked at Callie kindly. Are you okay, honey? I'm fine, Callie said, but she didn't feel fine at all. She left the diner and walked home in the cold November air. She held the newspaper in her hand. She felt silly for thinking Griffin would wait for her. Of course, he had gone back to his fancy life with people from his world. But when Callie got to her building, she stopped in surprise. Griffin's car was parked out front, and there he was, sitting on her front steps. He was wearing a coat that wasn't warm enough for the cold weather. Biscuit lay at his feet, wearing the orange sweater Callie had made. Griffin stood up when he saw her. His face showed hope and worry. You didn't answer my texts, he said. Callie held up the newspaper. Looks like you've been busy. Griffin looked at the paper, and then he understood. That's not what it looks like. It never is, Callie said. She walked past him to her door. Victoria is my cousin's wife, Griffin said, following her. The hospital gala is a family thing. I go every year since my parents died. Callie stopped. Her key was in the door. Your parents died? 7 years ago, he said softly. A boating accident. His voice sounded flat, like he had said the story many times, but it still hurt him. That's when I got Biscuit from the shelter. He was the only one who didn't care about my last name. Callie felt her anger go away just a little. She opened the door, paused, then stepped aside. You should come in. It's cold out here. Griffin looked so relieved. He and Biscuit came inside. The apartment felt even smaller now, knowing who Griffin really was. Callie wondered what he thought of her tiny place. I should have told you sooner, Griffin said. He watched as Biscuit went straight to his blanket on the couch. I was afraid. Afraid of what? Callie asked, taking off her coat. That you'd look at me differently, that what we had would change. He ran a hand through his hair. Callie knew he always did that when he was nervous. When my parents died, I got everything, the company, the houses, the money. But after that, people didn't see me anymore. They only saw the money. Every friendship and relationship became a deal. So you lied to me, Callie said, crossing her arms. I never lied about who I am, Griffin said quickly. Just what I do, my name, my family. But everything I told you about how I feel, that was real. Callie sat down on the couch. Biscuit placed his head in her lap. I don't know what to believe anymore. Is Griffin even your real name? It is, he said, sitting down beside her. Griffin Dax Langston. I'm 40 years old. I'm bad at relationships. I'm scared of thunderstorms, but I'll never say it out loud. And I'm in love with a woman who saved my dog and helped him live again when I thought I had lost everything. Callie looked up, surprised. In love? Griffin looked at her and nodded. Yes, in love with you, Callie. Not because you didn't know who I was, but because you saw who I really am. Callie's heart ached. She wanted to believe him. So much. How can this work? She asked. Look at this place. Look at me. I don't belong in your world. Then I'll belong in yours, he said. I've been happier here in this apartment with you and Biscuit than I've ever been in my own world. Callie felt tears in her eyes. It's not that simple. Why not? Griffin asked gently. Because people will talk. Your business people will think I want your money. Maybe someday you'll get tired of this small life when you could have something bigger. I don't care what people say, Griffin said. My business people work for me, not the other way around. And Callie, he squeezed her hand, this is more than I've ever had. You've given me a home. Not just a house, a real home. Biscuit made a soft sound and looked at both of them. He seemed to know this moment was special. I want to show you something, Griffin said. Will you come with me? Both of you? Callie was curious. Where? My house. I want you to see where I live. Then maybe you'll understand. The drive took them to the richest part of the city. There were giant houses behind tall walls and big gates. Griffin stopped at one, pressed a button, and the gate opened. Callie gasped. The house was huge and made of stone. It looked like a palace. Lights made it shine in the dark. This is where you live? This is where I stay, Griffin said. He parked in front of the big door. Come in. Milo ran ahead but kept looking back to check Callie was coming too. Inside, the house was just as big and shiny. The floors were marble and there was art everywhere. But something was strange. The house felt cold and empty, like a museum. The rooms looked nice but were never used. Then Griffin took her to his bedroom. It was different. There were books, a sweatshirt on a chair, and Milo's bed by the fire. It looked like someone really lived there. This was my parents' house, Griffin said. I never changed anything. Why not? It didn't feel right, he said with a sad smile. After they died, I just lived here. I didn't feel alive. Callie's heart hurt. Her own little apartment was tiny, but it was filled with love and her favorite things. Now, do you understand? Griffin asked. You thought I was just having fun at your place, but the truth is those nights with you and Milo were the only times I felt at home since my parents died. Callie turned to look at him, not as a billionaire, but just as Griffin, a man who had everything, but felt so alone. I'm sorry, she said quietly, for not trusting you, for thinking that this house was more important to you than what we had. Griffin held her hands. I don't want to lose you, Callie. These last few days without you, I can't go back to feeling that empty. You don't have to, Callie whispered. She finally believed him. Griffin kissed her gently, then deeper. They both felt like something special had been saved. When they stopped, Milo was wagging his tail fast. I think he agrees, Callie laughed. Smart dog, Griffin said, just like he did at their first dinner. In the next few weeks, Callie and Griffin worked hard to fix what had broken. It wasn't easy. Reporters followed them everywhere. Some people said mean things. They didn't think Callie was good enough. But Griffin didn't care. He held her hand in public. He told people how proud he was of her. He even spent more nights at her apartment than his big house. For Thanksgiving, they had dinner at Callie's small home. She invited her best friends. Griffin invited a few kind people from his work. Callie worried they wouldn't all fit in the tiny space. But Griffin just smiled and said, It's perfect. Griffin smiled as he helped Callie prepare the turkey in her small kitchen. Their dog, Milo, wagged his tail and watched carefully, hoping for a dropped piece. Griffin looked around and said, Your apartment feels more like home than my big house ever did. That night, Callie's apartment was full of people. There were folding chairs, different kinds of plates, and lots of happy laughter. It was a big, fun dinner. Dax, Griffin's bodyguard and now a friend, raised his glass. To finding family in unexpected places, he said. Later, after everyone left, Callie was putting away leftovers. Griffin was quiet. What's wrong? Callie asked. Nothing's wrong, Griffin said with a soft smile. I've just been thinking about your poetry cafe dream. Remember? Callie laughed. Yeah, but I'd need to win the lottery for that. Or maybe now, Griffin said. He told Callie he had found a small building downtown with big windows and a lot of charm. It was for sale. Callie looked shocked. I can't afford a building like that. I can, Griffin said. No, Callie shook her head. I don't want your money. It's not just money, Griffin said gently. It's a gift to help you follow your dream, for our future. Our future? Callie said, her heart beating fast. Then Griffin pulled out a small velvet box. Callie's breath caught as he opened it. Inside was a shiny diamond ring. I had a speech, Griffin said, about how you found Milo and somehow found me too. But all I want to ask is, Callie Rivers, will you marry me? Callie's eyes filled with happy tears. What about your family, your company? She asked. I don't care about all that, Griffin said. I care about you, about us, me, you, and Milo. Milo walked into the kitchen as if he knew what was happening. Callie laughed through her tears. I think Milo wants to know my answer, she said. She looked into Griffin's eyes. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. Griffin put the ring on her finger and spun her around the kitchen. Milo barked and wagged his tail. Callie looked around at her little apartment, the old paint, the mismatched furniture, the couch where they had fallen in love. Everything felt perfect. She knew their life was about to change. Maybe they would move. Maybe she would open her poetry cafe. But no matter what, as long as they were together, it would be home. That night, as they lay in bed with Milo sleeping at their feet, Callie asked, Why did you come to my door that first day? You could have sent someone else to find Milo. I wanted to meet the person who found him, Griffin said, and then I saw you kneel beside him. He ran to you with so much joy. You didn't even know who he was, but you loved him. Griffin gently touched her cheek. Sometimes things get lost so better things can be found. Outside, snow began to fall. Inside, a man, a woman, and a dog found peace, love, and a family. Christmas came with lots of excitement. Griffin somehow fit a huge 7-foot tree into Callie's little living room. Gifts were everywhere, and delivery people kept bringing baskets of fancy food and pretty clothes. You have to stop, Callie told Griffin, laughing. There's no more room. I've missed too many Christmases, Griffin said. Let me enjoy this one. Since they got engaged 3 weeks ago, Griffin was like a happy kid. He put up twinkling lights, mistletoe, and even baked cookies with Callie, even though he was terrible at it. His sweater got covered in flour and icing. "You're like a big kid," Callie giggled. Griffin smiled. "I never really celebrated Christmas. My family's holidays were always big, fancy parties, and after my parents passed away, I stopped celebrating." Callie squeezed his hand. "Well, we're making new traditions now." They watched Christmas movies, drank hot cocoa with lots of marshmallows, and took walks to see lights. Milo wore a jingly reindeer collar and loved every minute. Some people whispered things about Griffin marrying a waitress, but Griffin didn't care. "They'll either love you like I do," he said, "or they won't be in our lives." On Christmas Eve, Callie's friends from the diner came over. Dax came too, and even Dr. Isla, the vet who helped Milo, stopped by with his wife. "Your place is so full," her friend Penny laughed. "It's full of good people," Callie smiled, watching Griffin chat and laugh with her friends. Later that night, when everyone had gone home, Griffin gave Callie a small envelope. "One more gift," he said. "It's really for tomorrow, but I can't wait." Callie opened it. Inside was a shiny key. "What's this for?" she asked. "For your poetry cafe," Griffin said. "The building on Maple Street. It's yours." Callie couldn't believe it. "You bought it?" "It's not just a gift," Griffin said. "It's a part of our future. You can run it your way. I'll be silent or just the guy who fixes leaky pipes." Tears filled Callie's eyes. "You can't just buy me a building." "I didn't buy it for you," Griffin smiled. "I bought it for us, for the life we're building together." Callie held the key tightly. "Our home," she whispered. "Home is wherever you are," Griffin said, pulling her into a warm hug. On Christmas morning, sunshine filled the snowy streets. Callie woke up to find Griffin and Milo waiting by the bed. "We've been waiting forever," Griffin joked. They opened gifts. Milo tore the paper excitedly. Callie gave Griffin a soft leather journal. "For your thoughts," she said. Griffin's eyes filled with tears. "This is perfect." After breakfast, they went for a snowy walk. Griffin led Callie to a quiet part of the park. There was a new bench under a big tree. On it was a shiny plaque. Callie read it out loud. "Where Milo brought us together, Griffin and Callie." Tears filled her eyes. "It's beautiful." Griffin smiled and sat next to her. Then he looked nervous again. "I want us to live together, really together," he said. "Not just staying at your place or mine. I've been thinking about that too," Callie said. "My apartment is too small, and your big house, it doesn't feel like us." Callie's eyes widened. "Are you sure? That house has been in your family for a long time." "It can go to someone else now," Griffin said. "I just want a place with you and Milo." Callie smiled. "I'd like that. A fresh start for all of us." When spring came, Callie quit her diner and store jobs to focus on the poetry cafe. They named it Milo's Corner, after the little dog who brought them together. They painted the walls, picked out colorful chairs, and added shelves for books. Local artists brought in their paintings. Callie held her first poetry reading there one sunny afternoon, and Griffin sat proudly in the front row. People clapped and cheered. Callie looked around at the little cafe, at the man who believed in her, and at Milo snoozing by the door. She smiled. Dreams really do come true, with love, second chances, and a dog named Milo. The building on Maple Street used to be an old bookstore. It had high ceilings and brick walls. Callie wanted to turn it into something new. She had big ideas, and Griffin helped her carry the heavy stuff. But Callie made all the fun and creative choices. They also found a house. It wasn't as big or fancy as Griffin's old mansion, but it was big enough and very cozy. It had a big yard where Milo, their dog, could run and play. There was a sunny room where Callie could sit and read her books. The house was close to the cafe, so Callie could walk to work. It also had a little office where Griffin could work at home if he wanted. They moved into the house together in April. They mixed all their things. Griffin's fancy furniture and Callie's colorful and different things. They looked good together, just like Callie and Griffin did. Everyone was surprised when Griffin sold his big family mansion. People were even more surprised when he said he would stop doing so much at his big company, Langston Development. He wanted to spend more time on things that made him happy. His friends could see he felt lighter and freer. "You look happy," Dax said one day while helping them carry boxes into their new house. "I am," Griffin said with a smile, watching Callie as she told him where to put the bookshelf. Milo was lying on his new bed near the fireplace, watching everything. The big day for their new cafe, Milo's Corner, came on a warm Saturday in May. Callie had worked so hard to make it perfect. She found soft and comfy chairs and couches at thrift stores. She hung up artwork from local artists and filled the kitchen with coffee and yummy treats from nearby bakeries. On the morning of the opening, Callie stood in the middle of the quiet cafe. She looked around. Poetry books lined the shelves. There was a small stage for reading poems. The lights were warm and cozy. It looked just like the dream she had long ago. "Nervous?" Griffin asked, hugging her from behind. "A little," Callie said. "What if no one comes?" "They will," Griffin said. "And even if they don't, we still made something beautiful." Milo wagged his tail happily. He wore a special bandana just for the opening, but Callie didn't have to worry. By lunchtime, the cafe was full of people. Her friends from the diner came. Griffin's coworkers came too. New neighbors and people from town who read about the cafe also came. The line for coffee went out the door. People sat in every seat, reading books, talking, and enjoying the cozy cafe. In the afternoon, they had their first poetry reading. Anyone could stand up and share their poems. Callie was surprised when Griffin was the first person to sign up. "You wrote a poem?" she whispered. "For you," he said with a wink. Griffin walked up to the small stage. He looked nervous, more nervous than Callie had ever seen him, even when he made big million-dollar business deals. He cleared his throat and pulled a small piece of paper from his pocket. "I was lost before I found you," he began. His voice got stronger as he read. "Living in a mansion full of empty rooms, but you lived in a home full of love and welcome. You showed me the difference." The cafe got very quiet. Everyone listened to Griffin's poem. His words were simple and full of love. It was like a love letter to Callie, to Milo, and to the home they made together. When he finished reading, many people had tears in their eyes. Callie ran to him and hugged him tight. "That was beautiful," she said. "I meant every word," Griffin replied, holding her close. As the day ended and the last people left, promising to come back again, Callie, Griffin, and Milo sat in the quiet cafe. The evening sun came through the big windows, making everything glow with golden light. "So," Griffin said, pouring some sparkling juice into glasses, "was it everything you hoped for?" Callie looked around the cafe, then at Griffin and Milo, her family. A family made from kindness and love and a little bit of luck. "It's more," she said. "So much more than I ever dreamed." Griffin raised his glass. "To finding what matters, to loving what was yours." Callie smiled and added, "And you loving what was mine." "And to Milo," they said together, laughing, "who always knew where we belonged." Outside, the city was busy. People walked by, not knowing about the little miracle inside the cafe. They didn't know how a lost dog, a kind woman, and a lonely man had found something special. They didn't find it in big houses or fancy plans. They found it in the small, simple choice to care for each other, to see each other, to stay together. When the night came, they locked up the cafe and walked home. Griffin held Callie's hand, and Milo trotted happily beside them. The path ahead was theirs to walk, step by step, day by day, together. And that, Callie thought, looking up at the stars in the sky, was the best gift of all. Not the cafe, not the house, not even the ring on her finger, but the love they had found when they opened the door to something unexpected. Sometimes the best things come when we aren't even looking for them. Sometimes, if we're lucky, they help us find our way home. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.